Evening, chaps. Welcome. Hope you had a good weekend. We're just watching BTC on Renko at the moment. See how the action goes. Then we'll get into some charts, round up where we are on the weekly. We've had some changes, but not a lot. Evening, XR Jonathan, Brian. Welcome. So what's everybody's bias? How are we feeling? Bullish? Bearish? What's the general consensus right now? Good man. Good man. How are you? Want to see the weekly close over 9.2? Yeah, I mean I don't, but we can go for your option. I'd really like to see us diverge here. Jimmy Martin, welcome. Following the channel down on the daily. Hard to be bearish or bullish. Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at this on candle, to me, it's a bearish retest. I don't see any major strength in what's just happened. I think that the reason that I'm bearish is that I don't think the reaction off 8.7 was good enough. I don't think the demand was there. I still don't think the demand's there. And so for me, this just looks like a case of bearish retest to that breakdown region. I'm not sure there's very many other instances, right? If you forget the history of what's happened in terms of this pump, that you view the price action in this range, right, as bullish. How's it going, bad? Let's take a look. So instead of me just talking, let's take a look. All right. Let's use the ray. Okay. So obviously a close above 9.1 is better because it breaks back into the range. However, we also have that supply region that's been tested and rejected so far. I think any other period of price action, and you saw like, just give me that. You saw me like this, right? I think you just assume that this is bearishly retesting this breakdown. This changes things, but then this structure here, right, is that not just retesting this breakdown? So there's kind of two ways of looking at it. You could also say that, like, with the daily level being up here, right, which is probably more of where Exiles 9.2 comes in, that's really the region to overcome. I think that a failure to make it back over there is not particularly good. I think the volume today is poor. I think if you look at the daily, I think the volume that we put in today is relatively poor. And the weekly will still close red. Sent chat to Chill Lounge, alright, cool. Holiday weekend in the US, tomorrow's federal holiday, alright. Always good to know for traditional as well. Did diverge? Yeah, I saw the divergence. Not very hot on the divergence, just because it's a real grind. It's a real shame that this didn't push up and diverge here. So I think, as I said, like for me, I was chatting about this with someone earlier. Right, this breakdown here, this PA and this breakdown here in this 4-hour slot and this retest, right, kind of just reminds me of this. Same sort of PA, right, breakdown, retest. Basically, it just kind of looks like exactly the same is happening, but here. Right, so for me, like this region here and this region here are basically just the same thing. And then this is the retest for here, and now this is the retest for here. So we'll see. I'm kind of split on BCC. Like I still don't have a bias. Like I don't often trade with a bias, but I don't really have a bias in this region. I think it's definitely important to reclaim this daily. I think this level here has to be reclaimed. Otherwise, again, I think this is just a breakdown from this region. I don't think the reaction's been strong enough from 8.7. I don't think this level of volume, right? That level of volume on the daily is enough to say that this is a bullish spring back up. It looks more bearish to me. Like, this is bullish volume. The first candle is, the second candle less so because we've got all this wick. But to me, I'm not taking too much by the volume here. All right, let's flick through the list. Has anybody got a preference on what we start with, BTC pairs or USD pairs? I think this is bear trap. I don't know, man. I don't see many bears getting trapped here. BTC pairs, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see many bears getting trapped in this region at all. Like, I think if you just look at this on the weekly, right? Here's the breakdown, right? This is the breakdown candle on the weekly. And that's kind of as simple as that, right? That's the breakdown candle. This is a bearish retest on the weekly. This will now sell off. Like, I don't think there's an argument on the bullish side apart from like narrative-based arguments. The weekly looks awful. The weekly looks like a bearish breakdown and a retest. And also, Agent, good to see you on stream. Clearing 11k. Jesus. I think, like, okay, so if we consider the structure of alts right now, a lot of people are pretty bullish on alts, majors, low caps, whatever. Like, people are pretty bullish on alts. So, like, there is an argument that says we just do this. Right, what's to stop us just ranging here? We got 7.4 support above us. We've got 9.5k resistance above us. Like, maybe we just range for the next 3 months. Welcome, son. Check the 3-day. We took out the range low. Do you mean in that? Where do we take out the range low? Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, potentially. I think it's also quite early to decide that that's the range. Like, the bearish side of me says we don't see above 9.7 again. Like, not for a while. I think if alts want to run, and alts look like they're structurally set up to run, then I think the biggest chance is that we range. And, like, we just range in, like, a $1,500 rate region on the weekly. And we just tag this for a while. But still, I'm still, like, this structure here. Like, this is too much, like, distribution for me. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's all like hero calls and bollocks right now. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, the chart tells me 3-day says this is a bearish retest, and we're now starting to fall away. Weekly says bearish retest. Daily, bearish retest. And then lower time frames are bearish retest of a breakdown from this consolidation region. The other thing I think is, right, is like, if this was bullish, like, where's the momentum from this? Where's the momentum? Like, surely the hope would be consolidate, right? And then leg up. Like, I don't know why we consolidate and leg down. Like, this region should be untouchable. This region should be untouchable. But anyway, as I said, it's all anybody like making any precise calls right now is just hero call bluffing. It's still rangy, choppy bullshit, and I think that the bias is bearish. If I had a gun to my head. All right. So BTC pairs. We'll start with the A's. Yeah, we did pump 42%, right? With a massive wick and no follow through. Like, yeah, sure. We pumped 42%, but it's not 42% now. Significantly down on where that touched. So there's like zero follow through. Zero demand that looks as though it's in this region. Like, it looks like there's no inclination for BTC to push higher from where it is. It's not even like we saw like a big rush of demand come in again at 8.7. Like, I think we did 42%. We were instantly wicked, like, what, 15% of that? And since that, the pump was 7.4, and we've hit 8.7 since. So, I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, we've gone further down than up in that time span now. Okay, ADA. Still fine with ADA. Shame about this move getting sold into. That's just the BTC strength that's just killing off the alt BTC pairings. Everything, as like a general broadcast, everything with BTC pairs still looks fine. Right? They're still maintaining structure. So, like, I'm not really in any trouble with these positions. I took profit, and I'll show you exactly why I took profit. So, like, ADA, I took profit because there was a clear divergence here. So what I want to try and do when I'm in these alt BTC positions is maximize the gains that I'm taking from each of the plays. So this long position on ADA, as soon as I see this divergence, right, and I'm still in position up here, then there's an opportunity for me to sell off some of the position and rebuy in lower. So when I saw this on ADA, this was a really good opportunity to take some profit at a really nice level, right, and then wait for that inevitable breakdown, which we then got obviously with the BTC strength. So ADA I'm still fine with. Like, I'm still aiming for this 500 region before we see anything crazy. Like, there is still this little block of supply up here that triggered this largest sell-off that we've had on ADA. So this is the biggest sell-off we've had. So I fully expect there to be lingering supply in this region. I'd be really, really surprised if we blew straight through it. The positive thing about ADA, though, is that obviously, like I've spoken about in tweets recently, this has consolidated for one of the longest period of alts. Okay, it's like 101 days of consolidation now in this range. It's tapped this resistance above 3 times. Right, so 1, 2, 3. And this will be the 4th tap of any resistance, which obviously we'd be looking for a break on. The immediate target that I'd want to go for is up here. It's like around 600. Because I want to see us seek out the next area of supply. And where's the next area of supply? Just up here before the breakdown down here. So if we do go, I'd love to see us push this 610, 600 region. But structurally, ADA still remains intact. Bullish trends still in play. Nothing's really changed, right? Aside from having a sharp sell-off. Same with BCH, right? Like, they're all these alts putting in these like horrendous Darth Maul candles, but all maintaining structure. Like, BCH got hammered and then recovered for actually a really nice candle to the upside. Okay, only sad thing it did, right, is it took out this high, but then we've wicked plenty to the downside as well. So structurally, BCH still remains in play. Only issue with BCH is this region here, right? So I do expect us to correct again on BCH. At least try and fill in some of this. Right, and then go. BCH ADA remain fine. It's largely the case for the majority of alts, right? Like, we've seen exactly the same thing. We've seen bullish structures. We've seen Darth Maul wicks, but structurally they still remain intact. Same with EOS. Okay, still remains intact. I hate this diagonal grind up though. Like, I'm actually looking forward to seeing this come down and then go again. Whenever anything's grinding up diagonally, I'm not a massive fan of that, just because it looks prime for a breakdown. I think EOS will come down. I think EOS will either come down and challenge this region at 3890, okay, which is also resistance from here. So I think EOS will come down and retest this region, cool off a little bit more. And then if we're unfortunate, it will come down to this region here at 3827. So 3890 or 3827 are the regions that I'd probably look at adding back into EOS. ETHBTC is the one alt that I hadn't traded. Interestingly, on ETHBTC, we did move perfectly into this region of supply here, and that's where the sell-off was. So move straight here, hit this, right, and then sold off. And again, for ETHBTC, like, I think this is top for now, and that we'll see some movement back down to this region here. So this is where the demand is, here. We don't break structure if we come down here, so if we come down here, we still have that higher low, and then we retest this supply region again. Okay. Jimmy's still loving the ETHBTC. Have you taken profit yet, Jimmy?
People say that practicing Zen is difficult, but there's a misunderstanding as to why. It's not difficult because it is hard to sit in the cross-legged position or to attain enlightenment.
No? Okay.
It's hard to keep our mind pure and our practice pure in its fundamental sense.
I like the resolve. It's good. So yeah, so like essentially, like, I feel as though I'm just saying the same thing for all BTC pairs, but it's because the picture is the same. The structure remains bullish on lower time frames. Okay, most have been consolidating in daily ranges that they're now looking to test the resistance of. Some of those, like ADA and BCH, are testing it for the third or fourth time, right? But they are all overextended on lower time frames. So we're going to see some of these snapbacks. We're going to see some of these pullbacks into demand regions. And so if you're in one of these BTC positions actively, just keep that in mind. What you don't want to see, okay, and I'll just demonstrate it here on ETHBTC, okay, what you absolutely do not want to see are these lows compromised. So you don't want to see any action that comes down here and suddenly makes a lower low, right? That's not what you want to see at all. You need to see the structure maintaining. You need to see areas of demand like this, right, responded to. So if ETHBTC comes down here, it needs to move strongly away. And we've been capturing these demand zones, right? So the next chart that we'll look at is LTC. This is exactly what we caught on LTC. Right, here's the demand zone. Right, wicked in, that's what we bought up from. Originally, our original entry down here is from this demand zone. Okay, wick down into it, strong move away from it. So again, what we don't want to see is any of these alts breaking structure. LTC is the only position that I'm fully out of. Right, 100% closed. This level up here was a limit order for me, so this order just filled. So LTC is the only one I am 100% out of. And like, this was really nice. This is a 5R trade, so 10% move. Got a bit of fortune with the wick up. But I'm 100% out of LTC. So I have a stop in place at 19.99. Yeah, okay. Yes, okay, you could use 1999. I tend to drop the zeros when everyone's speaking about alts, just for ease. TRX didn't respond badly at all. We still sold off, but we were bought up quite heavily. And TRX looks as though it's rounding off. That's a pretty good sign. 210 is an important level to hold. It's the breakout from here. So 210 is an important level for TRX, and the fact it's rounding away from that level, I think is a really promising sign. I think TRX looks really good. Yeah, I really like the look of TRX. Super important level, holding, rounding off, and like 272 is the next target. So hoping for at least 30-25% off this. But from all of the max alts, TRX is, for me, in a pretty strong place. And again, another really good example of a demand region. We had this in from 28th of October. It took us till the 4th of November to get filled. So a week of waiting, but we did hit that level. And then the anomaly to the bunch, which is XRP. So XRP was the position I was stopped out of. I actually got a really good move up and then was sold into at the start of swell. And then ever since then, obviously with the BTC strength and the inverse correlation between the assets, this has suffered. Like I haven't even been looking at XRP to try and determine an entry. Like I almost feel like just done with it as a tradable asset. It's just fuckery all the time. So I'm not too interested in hopping back on board with this, especially not right now. Especially if alts, if I think there's going to be a little bit more downside for alts, then I don't want to be fucking around with XRP. And then BTC we've already covered, and ETH. So I took a little profit on ETH. I took 50% of the position off at 190. Like I'm basically looking for the top of here, so it's like 193 is what I'm looking for the top of here. But again, I don't think ETH looks bad. It's like it's super clean. It's super clean. This region here, right, where I stuck this line, it's essentially what we were looking to retest. And we did perfectly on this wick here. So we came down, retested this region that we broke out from with strength, and then took off again. So if we have a similar structure here, right, where we just have this strong move up, slowly trickle back down to this breakout, retest it, go again, then maybe we have a similar structure here. Strong breakout, slowly move down, wick into here, go again. To be honest with you, ETH looks better than BTC to me. I think ETH looks in stronger shape structurally than BTC does, which I think also supports the argument that alts will have a run. Yeah, I'm the same, man. Like XRP has been like, it's probably one of those that's been my biggest gain. Like it's been my biggest gainer and my biggest loser at the same time. Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that BTC will dump. I'm suggesting that BTC will range. Like that's my, if alts are gonna run, right, BTC can't dump. It has to range. Okay, so Brian, I see your chart. Yeah. And again, like I think that would, any move down, right, to your EQ here is essentially kind of that what I spoke about, that slow grind down, hit that region and then bounce again, and then we're looking for like the 193 region, which is the upper range resistance. So that makes sense to me. Like, this chart makes sense. The trend's still strong. I assume that's the 5200 on the 2 hour. So the fact that that's just held strong, like especially that 200. And then Brian with the down channel here, yeah. And I think that looks solid. See, like the first thing I look at when I look at Brian's chart, right? The very first thing I look at is that it looks like it's a bearish retest. Like, that's the first thing that jumps out to me. With no prior knowledge of this asset, what it is, that's what I'd say is happening. I think there's potential to 197. Yeah, I don't doubt that on ETH. Like, I think that my priority is taking profit. I was looking at the 193 region. I think if we're gonna try and run the area as well. Yeah, so 197.30 is the region that I've got labeled here. Here, 197.30. But like this looks better than BTC. This consolidation is better than BTC. Yeah. All right. Any questions on BTC pairs? And then we'll take a look at some of the alt USD pairs. I think there's going to be a very similar story across those in terms of like the way that the BTC pairs were covered in like a very generic way, right? There's a couple of standout instances like ADA and BCH where we should be aware of the consolidation period that both of those have been in. Okay, BCH consolidating the longest, like 120 days. ADA consolidating second longest. And then EOS in third. So I think that's important to keep in mind. But as like a broad stroke to everything, like, as I said, bullish, lower time frame needs to cool off. Any other questions? We'll cover Ren when we cover off some low caps at the end. Just got a oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. I was gonna say I just got a notification. That is a nasty open. Nasty open for Nat Gas. Ooh. No, don't like that. All right. Let's do what yours do. Algo, Head and Shoulders, Doom. I think I might just do predictions like this, right? Like just eyeball something real quick and just throw the first thing on there. Algo, Head and Shoulders, Doom. Same level that's on your ESD. Yeah. Bad. We'll catch up about some traditional. I know you've got an interest in that, so we'll have a catch up about some of the markets at some point. So Algo has come down, and like I still really want this level at 24. Like, I don't know how greedy I'm being, because technically this level shouldn't hit for me to stay bullish, right? And the reason that this level shouldn't hit is because this low has to be protected. So the fact it was here is a more bullish sign for Algo, right? Like, if it wanted to test this breakout here, it would have to compromise the structure by making a lower low. So I kind of at the same time don't want to see it. So this could have been the entry. Obviously good recovery now. There's a couple of regions that Algo needs to overcome. Obviously again 28 cents. This region here at 27 cents that with resistance here. It will need to overcome that here. And like, even though I was pissing about with this head and shoulder structure, like I would just keep an eye on this right shoulder forming here. We are moving into a resistance region, so it's not impossible to say that Algo will round off. Right? So although this is still a meme, I think it's just something to be aware of, that it is moving into an area of resistance. So Algo structurally still remains fine, okay? Higher low. Here's the high. Here's the low. Here's the high. Higher low just been printed. You're going to look for another higher high in this region here. This will be the second retest of the 30 cents resistance zone. And I think we can treat Algo as slightly independent. Like, it's still kind of got a mind of its own. It doesn't particularly have a strong correlation. Like, this can just do 20% in a day, and BTC can remain flat, right? So there's no correlation that we're actually seeking out in Algo. So it's still acting relatively independently, which actually makes it quite a nice asset to trade. Because one of my biggest, like one of the things that I get most infuriated with crypto, and especially right now, okay, as I'm trading more traditional markets, is the correlation between everything, right? So it's like, if I'm long on alt BTC pairs, I need BTC to do X. So I'm reliant on two different assets to perform in conjunction with each other in order to hit my take profit. So the fact that Algo is almost a unique asset, it doesn't require anything else to do anything, is kind of a nice reason to trade it. BNB, really, really good recovery. I'm really pleased with the recovery on BNB. Not only am I pleased with the recovery on BNB because I am in a long position from 1925. Right, and that 1925 was taken from here. Right? So it's not taken on this wick, but we did come down right into that area. So I'm just hoping for, again, this will now be the the 700th touch of this level. Okay, straight into it, rejection, multiple rejections, fall away, and this is the one that I hope powers through, and then I'm looking for 2190. So a move like this, and then get some support here. Jimmy, you asking that from the perspective of you think it is correlated? Or do you just mean, like, in general, why would it not be correlated? BSV. I mean, first of all, does anybody trade BSV? Like, who is the most recent person to place a BSV trade? Like, the last person I remember talking about BSV was Martin. How many of you are actively putting positions on BSV? And Jimmy, so a lot of the major moves that we've seen from Algo have been FA related, right? So like Martin tends to share a lot of this information, but there's a huge amount of stuff that's going on in the background for something like Algo, which still has a direct impact on price. So whereas we can use TA in isolation, there can just be major events because they're relatively active on an FA front, right? There's regular voting. We had the major news around like the bottom of this range, right? So like there's a number of FA factors that influence that, and so it's just acting still independently. Like it doesn't have any prerequisites on anything else to perform. It can just act as it wants, which is kind of nice. Okay, short right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like a short here. I think if I was looking at this, right, like I'd be short in here, supply region here. Like we pierced through the supply, but I mean the region's still here. So yeah, I'm fine with short. Structure's bad, right? Structurally, we came up, made the high, low, lower high, lower low, right? Lower high, hopefully, lower low. I would consider a long on BSV if it makes it down to this region at 114 again. This is like the breakout zone. Doge. I'm actually going to cover Doge. I mean, this is close. Sometimes FA weighs just heavier than TA or negative correlation of competing asset. Yeah, so like typically, like I don't personally, right? If you believe in true technical analysis, then essentially you have to believe, like if you are a 100% believer that TA is the way to trade, then you have to believe that fundamental analysis is a bit of a myth. Right, it's essentially a giant meme. And the only thing that matters is price history, what's happened in the past, and then repetitions of that in the future. So it's relatively common, right, that price will precede news, right? So price will react first, news will come out slightly after. Or that there's already the makings of whatever news there is in the price. So that may be a retest of a demand region just before some bullish news is released. But typically, like if you are a true believer in TA, if you are hand on the Bible, hand on the TA Bible, and saying, this is what I'm dedicating my trading to, then all news-related events to you are completely irrelevant. It's essentially what TA dictates. Alright, so Doge. Pretty damn close, man. Pretty damn close. Like, there's like one line. 27756. Break it and Doge runs. And we're pretty close to that. We know that Doge is building pressure against this region anyway, even on other charts that have more data, right? But all we need to see on this lower time frame is this region here. Doge is still building up some serious pressure. And when Doge goes, then be prepared for the alt season calls. EOS. EOS is just basically performing quite cleanly. Doing this stepping stone up. Right, leg up. Consolidate at this broken resistance region here. Leg up. Consolidate at this broken resistance region here. And then leg up. And then maybe we'll see it consolidate above this region here. But right now, EOS is still in good shape. USD pair is still in good shape. Good reactions, good grind up, good taking of the zones each time it does move up. It's kind of one of those that you would say is like going under the radar. It's just making its way out. The volume's good. Like the demand volume in here is pretty decent. It outstrips supply. ETC. So it came down here to this level, which is like pretty much like my stop was 475 for this. And this is kind of one of the reasons that I tend not to. Well, actually, this is like a perfect example of why I don't move my stops. So typically, when I'm in like a trade that I envisage as like a swing trade or something that's going to take a longer period of time, I tend not to move my stops from their original position. So even though we moved 11% on ETC, my stop remained in the same place because I want the 550, 580 region. So we came down, pierced all the way down to 480. Okay, my entry is 484. And now we've moved away again. So ETC again, I'm still targeting 550, 580. Yeah, China did. But EOS hasn't pumped that hard considering, right? Like considering if that's like a big factor, then it hasn't moved a huge amount. But then what's China's second favorite coin? HT just looks like continuing the trend. The only positive thing about HT, okay, is the breakdown here into here. So what we're kind of looking for now in HT is, can it make it back up here? Can it make it back to 395? If it can't, then maybe this is the start of a breakdown. So HT, I'd probably be like eyes on shorting, depending on how it reacts to 395. And then Link, like I still think Link pops off. I think for all the shit it gets, right? Like I still think this pops off. I mean, I don't even need to draw the bottom diagonal for you, right? Like, this is pretty clear in terms of what it's doing here. So maintaining the structure, maintaining the pressure upwards, demand is increasing in this region, and it's now looking to challenge this resistance at like 280, 286 I think is like the major level here. And then if this goes, then obviously $3 is where we're going to head to, and then above that it's 340 on higher time frames. I genuinely have nothing bad to say about Link. And if I... Link. Yeah, you go for caps, man. I think that this is a very similar pattern to what gold printed, right? Gold has printed a very similar pattern to this during a region of accumulation. I don't see any major difference here to this. If this breaks through at 287, which is the red line, which is holding it on the 12 hour, if it does break through there, then I would be very tempted to heavily long the breakout, because I think there's really good upside potential. And the other thing that we have with Link, obviously, with the upside potential, is like that 339 region is taken from the fact that's where the weekly's closed. But when if we start pushing that region, I mean, you're probably looking at highs. So yeah, I think Link's in really good shape. Litecoin's done very well. Okay, tapped into this. Let's take the size of this down so it's a little less ugly. Okay, supply region on the 12 hour, tapped into it, sold off. Simple as anything, right? A 12 hour block sandwiched between two huge red candles means there's supply in there. We tap it, we sell off. I'm not really interested in taking any trades right now on LTC. I think like a recapture of 63 would be beneficial for it, but I'm still not particularly interested. Matic performing very well. This was the support on the higher time frames. Moved up. And then we're making really good progress here. Like the volume's starting to kick in again. And again, we're rounding off. A little like that TRX picture before. Okay, starting to round off here. Okay, all the way up. And then we'll get to this level. Again, 1, 2, 3. With this fake out. 4, 5 touches of this. Like this should break. And then when this does break, then it's 24 cents. Matic looks in really good shape. Dragon. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dragon runs. Like, if the China coins go... The China coins look as though they finished consolidating. So I don't think Dragon's a bad shape. Litecoin Daily doesn't look good. Took the stops SFP and closing below. Yeah. I mean, like, that's the major disappointment with this. Like, the fact it took all of these highs out, right, isn't particularly pleasing. But then I can see the logical reason of why it did that with this region here. If it was just a natural SFP, right, if it was a natural move up that cleared them, and it didn't have this Darth Maul style to the downside as well, I'd feel worse about it. But because it ripped both sides, I kind of feel better. Yeah, agree, agent, as well. I think if Link does break up, I think that you naturally have to assume it would make all-time highs, especially if alts run. OKB, just trend continuation, higher low, moving back up. We'll look to take the high again. TRX retested here down at 18. Right? Like, this, to me, TRX looks like it wants to hit 3 cents. This is such a nice retest. Right? I even think that, like, TRX, like we said, TRX on BTC pairing looks great. TRX on USD pairing is looking good. I even think, like, a trade like this is fine here. The only thing you probably want it to do in this region, okay, is overcome this. So you want it to overcome that breakdown. And then once it does this, I think it's really good for a long position here. The retest is super, super clean. TRX looks in good shape on both USD and BTC. Really, really nice. I'm not sure you're getting your 9.2 XL. By this, you'd be lucky to hold on to 9. And then add a USDT. Structurally very good. Maintaining the upwards crawl. Nothing else left to say about it. Except for, right, the only thing I'll add for ADA USD is huge increase in volume. Similarly to what we've seen on the BTC pairing, right, this range here, huge increase in volume. There's an interest in ADA at this price level. Yeah, destroying your hopes. Like, I want BTC, right? Aside from all the best wishes in the world to all of you guys, right? I want BTC to just crumble down to like 5k. Minimum 5k. Like, give me 3.2. Like, I appreciate it if you guys, you know, you want or need BTC to do well. But I want as much BTC as possible at the cheapest possible price. So I would be quite happy with this being a lower high on the weekly and going down to make a lower low. That would be fine with me. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd like it to. As in, he posted a nice chart for BTC hitting those levels. Yeah, so like that's nice to think about, right? Like, sell BTC now, buy 10 BTC in a year's time, right? That's a great deal. If BTC reached 3.2k, how confident are you the bullish structure will remain? Like, if we hit 3.2, like, there would be no bullish structure to remain. So, like, from a weekly perspective, right? the very basic bearish overview says this is the high, this is a lower high, this is the low, we will take the low. That's very simply what the bearish overview would be on a weekly chart. And then you start having the calls, right, for like, I remember when we were down at 4k, right, and there's the calls to retest this region here. So at that point, there is no bullish structure. it means that the weekly is inherently bearish. But like, how realistic do I think this is? Like, not hugely. But if one of the arguments was that we went down 80%, right, from all-time highs, so we just like come down like 80% from the highs, then there's no argument for that anymore, right? It doesn't automatically mean that we need to now make new all-time highs. This could just be a second run, distribute mid-range, distribute at like 12k, 13k, and now it's time for the slow crawl back down in 2020. Yeah, like I think I'll... So if, without looking at a chart, right, say you had no access to a chart, and the halvening date was approaching, right? Let's say the halvening date hits, and you don't have access to a chart, and somebody has a gun to your head and they say you have to long or short Bitcoin. What do you do on the day of the halvening? Do you long or short with no other information? Like, what do you guys do? If I say you have to pick one, long or short, no information prior, can't look at a chart, you just have to choose based on what you think sentiment will be. What X short? What a pussy answer. I want to see 100x short, Jimmy. What do you mean 1x? I would short long before, not wait. Yeah, like I think that probably one of the best plays, right? Genuinely now, one of the best plays for 2020 is going to be shorting the halvening. I think that's going to be such a great play. Yeah, I know we'll keep the USD value, Jimmy. I know. Top will be in. Yeah, you see. Babysitter only takes USD. Withdrawal's been processed. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of Binance coins quickly, and then we'll wrap up. So Ren, not a great close for Ren. Okay, still consolidating around this region, still holding here. Needs to overcome the purple box. Chances are if BTC shows sideways action, it will. Trend looks like it can go up from here. It's past midpoint. I quite like this movement. This is a higher low on the daily. Here's the low, here's the high, here's the low. Give us the high. Right, so I like Ren. I think it does overcome this region. I'm okay with it consolidating here. Realistically, I mean, you absolutely don't want it losing 533, but realistically, you don't want it coming too deep into the upper 500s. CBS bankrupt or under? I don't think so. It was It was just some profit from some trades I took last week. So I was just skimming a little off the top. NPXS, like I'd never touch that asset in my life, regardless of whatever it does. Like I'm not touching an asset like NPXS. Like I mean, it's dead. It's completely dead. Just throw it in the bin. I mean, like, there's no coin in the world that I would trade at this region, right? With this volume. The thing that you want with alts, right, across the board is that you want volume. You need volume with alts. So my biggest advice would be if we start getting some really strong alt moves, look for the alts that have volume. Look for the alts that are traded regularly and have volume to back them. So like the list that I shared in the Discord group is a really good list because it's basically some of the highest volume alts on Binance, and that's kind of where you want to divert your attention. Like ONT still waiting. This didn't materialize, such a shame. But we're still consolidating here. This is going to play a part in Dragon Perp as well. I think ONT goes at some point. Still consolidating above this breakout region. We may see a move down to take out these lows. So we may see a move down to the 875 region. I think I'm just a bigger buyer in that region. What alts are you guys in? I know that I'm only in Matic here, which is still super strong, as with the USD pair. Alright, Matic's still in great shape. Nano had a good day. Alright, Nano had a really strong day. Looking for 1350. RVN I'm still in. I'm still in from like 298 on RVN. So this is just a slow grind. But still in RVN. What else is popular? Atom. Really strong move by Atom. Facing resistance now. Right. So we're up here facing resistance on Atom. This region here from the breakdown. Overbought conditions on the daily. 4 hours seriously diverging. I think this snaps back soon. I think this probably snaps back to 41.42. And if it wants to go lower, then 3687. 12 hour as well, heading into like majorly overbought regions here, right into resistance. Like, it just screams pullback to me. So I think we'll either come down and retest this region at 4128, or we'll come down here to this region at 3700. Holy shit, look at the altcoin boys coming out. Hollow. Fucking Pask delisting, man. What a fucking shame. Yeah, like, no volume. This, I've always had this level marked on hot, right? This is the level here. Support, breakdown, failure. and now we're kind of in and about that region. With anything like these fucking ultra low sat coins, the only ultra low sat coin I would ever consider trading on Binance is Doge. Like, that's it. Like, if there's one low sat coin that you want to put your money in, then just put it in Doge. It's got too much strength behind it, right? Like, it always goes. Aeon. Nice rounding off at the bottom here. Really good upside potential, right? Because there's such an inefficiency in here. So, like, all of this is just pure inefficiency that will fill really quickly when we do go. So that's like a 2x potential, right? This is 100% markup up here. 12 hours starting to struggle. 12 hours starting to diverge up here. So we will see a pullback on this. I mean, I don't even know where a pullback takes you. Maybe like here. Maybe like to 881 as a pullback region. So I think like the summary on Aeon is really nice inefficiency that will fill. That's a 2x potential. Medium time frames suggesting that this is pulling back now in the process of that. Maybe that region at 841. Maybe like keep an eye on this around the 800s. I give that like wide spectrum on this. It's so choppy in here to try and determine where it wants to try and hold up. Like, there is some level of confluence with this region, right? Like, there's some level of confluence here. Held here, rejected here, held here, rejected here. So like mid 800s look to be about the right region. Doge has a cult following. Yeah, it will go every time. Like, every single time you'll make money on Doge. INS. Do I have that in here? No. Good volume increase in this range. I like that. Good start. Trying to hold a higher low on the daily. Like that. There's no reason for me to buy something like this. There's no reason for me to buy something like this yet. Like, structure hasn't broken. This would be a gamble play completely. Daily's grinding along, okay, and even this is representing the fact that we're making those higher lows. Okay, so here's the low, here's the higher low, here's the higher low. And then you can see on the oscillator here, low, higher low, higher low. So I think now we'll see another leg on this. Certainly one to keep an eye on, but nothing that's like set up for me in order to take a position on aside from gambling. Beam. I'm sure I added Beam. Yeah, Beam looks good. Like, I mean, pretty simple, right? This is the region that needs to hold. We might see as low down as here. Well, that's a pretty fucking horrible divergence. I'd probably try and get Beam here. 693. Yeah, 693, and then like 1,000 is like ultimate target up here. Yeah, it just looks like consolidation in this region. It could even go from here. Like we said, it's holding this, so we could move up from here. So first reaction zone is 880 and second reaction zone is 1000. Vet should definitely be in this list. Yeah, Vet still looks good. Like I want it to cool off, right? I want it to cool off here. If it doesn't cool off, then it will hit 81. If it just keeps going, it will hit 81 and it will cool off at that point there. And then when it does that, it will come down and retest this region. So this looks as though it's a breakout, right? Like this looks as though it's a breakout above 61. But this could just be chopping around and we could come back down. I think if you're interested in taking a position in Vet, then you're looking at 50, which is the breakout from the previous range, and you'd be targeting 81 on the back of that. So that's like a 55% move. FTM. Yeah, still grinding around, not doing a huge amount. Slight daily volume pickup, nothing major. I think when FTM breaks this, right, now this there is a breakout play on for me. Okay, so if FTM breaks 159, then I think there's a breakout play on. Structure's good on the hourly. But if FTM breaks the 159, then I'll target the 170. And then get above there, and it's a far nicer ride for FTM. FTM actually looks in pretty decent shape. Just got to break 159. Let's do ERD, and then let's round up. Oh shit, that's fucking... Yeah, I mean, I think this probably breaks down again soon. Yeah, I think this probably comes down to 20 sats again soon. But again, like just no real volume in terms of like actually wanting to, like these low sat coins like this, like these 24 sats, like if they're not Doge, they're just a gamble. Like, there's nothing to say that any of this shit runs, like, or it just does what MPXS did and just goes to 1 sat. So there's nothing that says any of these run. They don't even have the history to say that they're gonna run hard. So I think unless they're Doge, then I'm not bothered particularly. Right? At least with Doge, we know that there's volume, right? Like volume, real volume, and it runs. Okay, there's like clear data here to show, right? It moves very heavily. So this run up here is 25 to 120. Okay, it's near a 5x. Here is a 3x. Here it's like a 6x, and then this is the big one, right? The 16 up. Right, that's like your 10x there. So this has proven data with volume to show that it runs heavily. All right, so let's round up there. If there's any questions, chuck them in the chat, and I'll get to them in the next couple of minutes. And aside from that, we'll start slowly winding down to the end of the stream. I would go through all of the stock options I'm very excited for next week, but I also know my audience. Okay, Boomer. Awesome. That's good to hear. It's good to hear, bud. Yeah, not a problem, guys. Always good to hop on stream and chat with you. I'm doing some small stock PFCFD plays, so happy to hear the content. But the real crazy things happen on the crypto side. Yeah, I think there's some pretty good opportunities. So like I won't cover them all, right? This is simply one play I'm looking at this week. Okay, so MU. This is very closely linked with Nvidia. Okay, so Nvidia earnings are due for release tomorrow. Sorry, this week. Fucking tomorrow. This week. Okay. Nvidia is pretty much putting in this horrendous diverging area now on the daily. 3-day is just about to hit overbought conditions over here. Now there's a gap up just here, 223 region. Okay, up to 227. What I'm ideally looking for is a run up to 227 pre-earnings, fill this gap, and then take a short play on Nvidia for the ride back down. Now MU is linked closely to Nvidia, so it will be impacted by Nvidia. Daily looks like a clean head and shoulders. Okay, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, super clean. It's got a gap down here at 32. And then the hourly right now is almost representing exactly the same structure. Right, so we're seeing this head and shoulders here on the hourly. But I have a guess that we'll try and fill this at $48 mark. And if we do, I'll short $48. And I'll short that in advance of Nvidia earnings. But I think this structure on the daily, look at this divergence as well. Like, this is just fucking propped up on air. Here, and then here, right? Huge daily divergence. And like, I don't think this is the play out. Similar on the 3-day. And then the weekly here. So MU is definitely a play. Okay, head and shoulders clearly visible on the weekly as well. So if this starts to break down this week, then I'll just be looking for $32. Right, that's all of the stock content. Vertical stair stepping XMR is coming to my mind. Bad, yeah, I do use Rancor on stocks. So like I'll show you like Nvidia. There you go, you can see I was looking at Netflix last on the daily. So Netflix is something I'm interested in potentially longing. I think this is a higher low. Earnings are pretty decent on Netflix side. MU. So get NVIDIA. That's what I said I was going to look at. Okay, so like really starting to struggle in this region. Hourly showing clear triple divergence here as we continue along these highs, and then all of these arrows are VWAP divergences, so this is also diverging in two separate places. The last time I got the divergences was here, and that was a major sell-off. Okay, 192 down to 134. And we're printing more divergences as we continue to creep higher. So here we had like a very clean double peak, right? And then in this one here, we're starting to grind along a little bit more. But yeah, I use Renko to to underpin everything basically. And then yeah, it's ATR. Are you looking at the USD pair? XR? Fuck. I'm surprised they didn't have XMR in here. BTC pair. Yeah, there you go. It's basically like how ADA climbed up, right? It just retests these breakouts. The only thing that you have to watch for on assets like this, right, is when we have regions like this that don't get retested. Okay, so this was retested. This here was retested by this wick. Okay, sell off, and then there's nothing retested this region. But yeah, very similar approach to how we see ADA climb. It's just this one slow and steady grind up. And the trouble with grind ups like this is that most people like draw a trend line, and instead of longing it, they're waiting for the trend line to break so they can short it. But actually all this is showing you is it's a trend line, right? Like it's showing you the trend. So the trend is up and it's continuing to hold the trend line. So break below, short, but if it touches the trend line, you should be long in this. All right, let's finish up there. Appreciate all of you joining me. I am heading away for a couple of days. It's actually my mum's 60th birthday. So we're heading back with baby Sheila to go and see her. I'm taking my setup with me, so I'll be around. I'll probably stream, depending on the action. I'll probably stream tomorrow night or Tuesday night. If we have a quiet day, then obviously there's not a lot to talk about from these roundups. So we'll see how it goes. But I will be online and around, so I will be present. Yeah, man, of course. Yeah, especially mums, man. All right. Thank you very much. I will pass on the birthday congratulations to her. All right, I'll be around though, guys. So I'll be on Discord. I'll be in and out of the chat. So I'll be trading from home. Right. Take care, guys. Thank you very, very much again, as always, for joining me. Appreciate you being here on a Sunday evening. And let's go make some money this week. Take care, guys.